Hi guys, so I've said this before, there's a massive difference between someone who voted for Brexit and a Brexiteer. A Brexiteer is someone who continues to believe Brexit is a success, even though there is little or no evidence to support that position. Many people back in 2016 who voted for Brexit, and I still believe when it came to the general public at least, most voted primarily on the issue of immigration. Now, others may have come to the conclusion that the EU was bad due to the drip of lies that they received in the media, be it TV, radio, newspaper, or new media like social media or YouTube. So LBC interviewed a man who voted to leave, and now he wants a second referendum to fix that mistake. His honesty is refreshing, but unfortunately some of the lies that he was told by Brexiteers back in 2016 haven't been fully flushed out of his system.
So you voted Brexit, but have come to bitterly regret that decision.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was voting for. And I'm a textbook example of somebody that should never have been able to have that vote. I voted leave very quickly with LBC's help.
With LBC's help, this is the core problem here. He was not informed. And I've said this before, there shouldn't have been a referendum. This was the job of government. It should have been Parliament that decided whether the UK left the European Union or not the people, because the people were not informed. What should have happened if you were going to have a referendum is you set up a independent commission that would compile the information necessary to provide the public with the information they needed to decide whether it was better to stay in the European Union or better to leave. The pros and cons of both decisions. That should have been what was presented to the public. But instead, what did people receive? They received lies, half-truths, from the likes of LBC and Nigel Farage, who used to work there. They received lies and half-truths from the news media. The BBC allowing Nigel Farage on Question Time almost every bloody night. And from government, somewhat indifference. And of course, the best PR campaign won. Not information. Information did not win. Transparency did not win. Objectivity did not win. It was who could spin it better, who was able to sell it better. And of course, Nigel Farage has a long history of selling snake oil to people. And he succeeded, along with his friends like Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Realised I'd made a mistake from listening to the argument from both sides and forming a factual conclusion. So the answer to the question is, let's have a second referendum. Whilst there are people like me in the world, I'll never let it rest because this was stolen from me. But
well, it wasn't stolen from you. You gave your vote away voluntarily.
I think what he means, what was stolen from him, was freedom of movement. He mentioned freedom of movement. It was, in a sense, stolen away from him because, well, some Brexiteers would say that freedom of movement was never going to go away, while others would say, yes, it was. Some Brexiteers said the UK would not leave the single market and the customs union, while others said, yes, it would. So, in a sense, he's right that something was stolen from him, but we don't know why he voted for Brexit.
It's not our fault if you didn't inform yourself about the subject beforehand, is it?
It's not our fault that we fed you lies. And I'm going to include Ian Dale here because Ian Dale is a Brexiteer. And when his friends, who are also Brexiteers, were on his show and are still on his show, he doesn't challenge them. He doesn't challenge their lies. He lets them spew their crap and he doesn't challenge them, which is agreeing with them in a sense.
Exactly. So this whole thing has happened based on lies and misinformation. And that can't be right. That cannot be right. So for the time being, yeah, all right, let's go back to single market, customs union and free movement of people. Absolutely, because then at least we get to benefit from going and living in the EU as well as them coming here. But ideally, second referendum, and let's rejoin. Lock, stock, and barrel.
You're assuming they would want us back.
Well, I think they probably would. But let's have lock, stock, and barrel. Let's have the euro. Let's have an EU army. Because at the end of the day...
This is not going to win the second referendum, I feel.
He has changed his position.
That's quite a switch from being a Leave voter in 2016.
There's nothing like a reformed zealot, is there?
Okay. When I said that some of the lies had not been washed out of the system, of course I'm referring to the EU army here. He was sold the lie that the EU army, there'll be an EU army. There is no EU army. I think it was maybe Nigel Farage, but I don't quote me on that, but I think it was Nigel Farage who fed this first lie. Is there going to be a second referendum? No, probably not. Or not, well, I don't want to rule it out, but not in the near future, perhaps in the distant future, maybe 5-10 years from now. You know, a number of things have to fall in place first. The Conservatives need to be kicked out. A pro-European party needs to win power. Probably the Labour Party with some other pro-European parties. And then they have to start the process. They have to first rejoin the single market and the customs union. Things like the euro, joining an EU army, okay. Joining the euro may be a requirement. At the moment it is, but we don't know what the future holds. But unfortunately, I fear that if there was a second referendum held today, even though the polls suggest that a majority of people would prefer to rejoin the European Union, I'm not sure it would win, because as soon as it would be called, the Ian Dales of this world, the LBCs, the Nigel Farages, the Daily Mails, the Express, would kick into gear and campaign once again with their lies and their half-truths to convince the public that it's necessary to stay out. We're better off out. We don't want to return to the dictatorship. The lies would come flowing back once again. So, as I said, I admire this man's honesty, but unfortunately, some of the lies that he was fed are still in his system. Let me know in the comments section, guys, what you thought about all of this. And also, do you think there is a possibility of the UK rejoining the European Union, or at least the single market and the customs union, in the next number of years? As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?